Cheryl, thanks for joining me.
Oh, Cath, lovely to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure. So you are the holistic pharmacist.
I am, and what a great role, moving into all of that bigger thinking.
Yeah, so tell me, what does that actually mean?
Well, I'm a pharmacist by profession, and I've chosen to move more into integrative medicine and focusing on inflammation and disease management.
Okay, so rather than kind of going to the pharmacist because something's wrong, it's looking earlier on in your lifestyle perhaps?
Yes, we still need to go to the pharmacist when things do go wrong, but it's looking at how we can take control of our health and guide the journey rather than wait to see what happens.
Yeah, so what are some of the issues that you're working with?
The biggest focus is inflammation. It's a big word, big area. We become more inflamed as we age, so there's lots of space for us to work in. And it's about creating wellness naturally, actually.
So you mean inflammation anywhere in the body that causes some other condition?
That's right. And processed foods, EMF, Wi-Fi, just not sleeping, busy lives is all inflammatory.
You just described my entire life there.
Yeah, that covers most of us.
Yeah. So what is the issue with, the food that we're eating, the pace that we're operating at?
Well, the whole thinking of 5+ a day or 7+ a day, it's not measuring the quality or the content of the food. It's just saying get 5 a day and you'll be fine.
So 5 fruit and veg.
Correct.
And then it was 7. Why is it 5 and then 7? I've always been a bit confused by that.
I'm not sure. Things change. Like the food pyramid is different now to what it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Just depends who's getting the marketing.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately. But it's looking at how we're growing food, how we're processing it, and where we're getting it from. So that quick, fast, easy in the supermarket, and we did love that perfect produce. Nature's not perfect, and we like to see more natural foods growing organically and actually being picked at the final phase of growth rather than being picked green. That's when most of the immune fighting anti-inflammatory nutrients come in with the foods. Right,
so actually the food that we're eating is being picked earlier in the cycle and has less of the good stuff in it.
Yes, the phytonutrients that are actually beneficial to us, which actually we borrow from nature. It's the anti-inflammatory impact, the phytonutrients. They are produced in the plant at the final phase of growth, so it's the second phase, the ripening phase. And if we're picking our stuff early when it's green, these plants are not being challenged and the nutrients are not being as produced as high as they would normally if we let the fruit ripen on the plant.
So when you're buying your fruit and veg from the supermarket, typically that has been picked early, hasn't it?
That's right, and often it's out of season. We can have kiwi fruit all year, we have apples all year.
Yeah.
We no longer eat in season. We can choose to have fruit or veg all year.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. If you went to the supermarket and they didn't have apples,
we'd be surprised.
It'd be an outcry.
Yeah, like it's all picked green, refrigerated, all produced out of season. So it's not a natural process. It's been forced, and we lose a lot of those key nutrients which are produced in the plants, which we really borrow. It's that natural rescue system we borrow from nature and from plants. That helps us reduce inflammation and keep things ticking as they should.
So nature's rescue system, I like that.
That's right.
So how do you know if you're getting what you need or not?
Well, it's like those, I like to walk on the shore along the coast and there's always these fruit trees that are loaded with fruit and they look really crazy trees. They're all out of shape, loaded with fruit, and you'll see on the ground there's so much fruit. It's like no one's eating them.
Yeah.
And probably they aren't because they're so bitter. These would be the trees, the old heritage strains of fruit, not sprayed, and they're hard to peel and they're very bitter to eat. So no one really chooses to have them because we have our perfect produce in the supermarket. And most of those sylvestrols or the phytonutrients have been produced out of the plant and they taste great, but we're losing those key nutrients which help us in everyday life.
It's a good point actually. Like fruit and veg didn't used to look quite so perfect.
No, and they're all almost identical. They're all the same size, the same shape. It's great for a party. You can get everyone having the same looking thing.
Yeah.
But ideally it's the gnarly, out of shape stuff that's fallen off the tree or is not really ideal for the market that has the high level of the nutrients, those phytonutrients that we need to protect us.
So what would your advice be if you, I mean, maybe we don't know whether we're getting the nutrients we need or not. What would your advice be for staying healthy?
Well, it's part of the picture, it's not the entire picture, and from a holistic approach, there's many facets to wellness. One of the key areas with food is growing your fruit and veggies if you can, and going organic and buying your produce from different organic suppliers, so you have opportunity for different sources of fruit and veggies, and understanding that food that's sprayed and picked green and eaten out of season is likely to have lower levels of these phytonutrients than those ones that are grown organic and picked in season. You know, these foods that we have in the supermarkets definitely do have the phytonutrients, but definitely not in the content or the level that they would have 50 years ago or even 20 years ago. We can all remember growing up and having fruit or picking fruit off a tree. It just didn't look as good as it does now.
And it
tasted different.
It was like candy to us, wasn't it,
Correct.
really?
Correct.
Whereas, as you say, you know, stuff now, the palate is so sweet
Correct.
that fruit would taste more bitter.
And these key nutrients that we focus on are the bitter extracts,
Right.
and commercially those are removed.
So to summarise, in a nutshell, what advice would you give us?
Be smart with your food and what you can grow and eat clean. Buy your fruit and veggies from a variety of organic shops, and be aware that it's not just about eating well. Sometimes we do need to supplement with key nutrients that are clean and focused on wellness. Yeah, creating wellness naturally.
Cool. Thanks so much for joining us, Cheryl.
Thank you, Cath. That's great.